It has been a week of school stories in the news. Everything from hot debates about hot lunches to how to stop bullying. Kids are settling back into the routine, except at one high school in Texas. A community there is still reeling from an explosive court case that just finished. A teacher-student sex scandal. Make that plural on the students. One teacher, 5 students who say it involved a game of truth or dare. But in this case, nobody won. Here's Deborah Roberts.
Welcome to Kennedale High School, just outside Fort Worth, Texas, a conservative cow town. Brittany Collops, a 12th grade English teacher, is finishing up her first year. Petite and 28 years old, she's become wildly popular and chummy with the athletes in her classroom, and by all appearances seems happily married, living an idyllic life in the suburbs, raising 3 children.
Just hearing your side of the story.
Now, Collops is no longer that popular teacher at Kennedale High. These days, she's in a yellow jailhouse jumpsuit with lots of time on her hands. 5 years to be exact.
You read and you write and you just...
How did she wind up here inside county lockup? It all began with a simple text to a student, a star athlete in her class. Collops asks him, "Do you know what time the baseball game starts?" In the weeks that follow, Brittany Collops will exchange 300 pages of sexually explicit texts with that student known in court documents as Aaron.
And she's telling him to skip class and come to her classroom and have a rendezvous with her.
They never have that rendezvous, it turns out. But Assistant DA Elizabeth Beach says Collops became infatuated with Aaron, telling the football player, "With all my other students, I look at them and see boys. But with you, I see a man." And then there's this candid admission.
I'm a anything goes in sex kind of girl. Sitting in the classroom, she goes into these very specific sexual text messages about the things she wants him to do to her body. I like pulling hair, biting, scratching, spanking. I even like being choked.
How did you ever even wind up with a student?
I'd really honestly rather not even talk about the details of that.
But tonight, Brittany Collops is breaking her silence for the very first time in this exclusive interview with 2020. It's April 2011. Collops invites Aaron into her home to watch a movie. Her husband and children are away, and teacher and student end up having sex. And it won't be the last time. Aaron reportedly goes back at least 4 more times to see his teacher. But now he's not alone. On May 10, 2011, Aaron brings 3 friends, all football players, to Collops' home for spaghetti dinner. But prosecutors say they end up getting more than just a home-cooked meal. Their teacher reportedly puts on a lingerie show, pulling out sex toys, leading the 4 willing jocks to her bedroom.
She's performing one sex act on one student, and she is simultaneously performing another sex act on another student, and she's farming out her kids for the night so that she can have 4 students in and engage in what is more or less an orgy.
But this time, it's all captured on Aaron's cell phone by one of his pals in Collops' bed.
There are multiple participants in this particular act.
Wow.
Yes.
Pretty graphic video.
A bit graphic, yes.
The video's so graphic, it's unsuitable for air.
When they began filming, she said, "Don't shine that light in my eyes."
Back at school, that steamy cell phone video is grist for hallway gossip and bragging rights.
I felt like I was victimized in that video because I never gave my consent for it.
You were victimized, even though you're older than these students.
Does age matter if someone's a victim of a crime?
Collops, a victim? The law in Texas says otherwise. The first-year teacher is called to the principal's office. 5 days later, Collops is arrested and taken into custody.
A school district shocked after
the teacher accused of having sex with 5
of getting too close to members of the school's football team.
The students bragged about it, and that's...
Nothing ever sort of clicked for you that I could actually wind up being arrested for this.
A lot of times people aren't necessarily thinking straight.
Many in this community are outraged.
I think it's disgusting. I mean, I don't understand.
That's kind of messed up what she did, but I mean, I don't know, I kind of feel bad for her. course, you never think it's going to be your neighbor.
What part of this is inappropriate didn't you get?
Well, it's not that I didn't get it. And I'm not saying that I don't take responsibility for my actions. I do. I should never be able to teach again.
But she doesn't believe she should be in jail, since all the athletes she had sex with were 18 or older, technically grown men, Collop says, who knowingly played their role in a tawdry sex game.
Some people would ask, Brittany, if you wanted to have sex outside of your marriage, why didn't you turn to somebody your own age?
You know, I can understand why people ask those questions.
Because they're still students, even though they were at the age of consent.
I'm not trying to say that it's not wrong or immoral for a teacher to have a sexual relationship with their students. I'm not saying that. But I don't think in this situation where they were legal, consenting adults, it should not affect me or anybody else legally.
But in Texas, it does. The law clearly says that no teacher can have sex with any student at any age in 12th grade or below.
These were 18 and 19-year-old boys who seemed to be consensual. Where's the crime?
Who has more power in the classroom? Does the teacher have more power or does the student have more power? The teacher has more power, and so the teacher can use that power to sexually exploit students in the classroom, even if those students are 18 years old.
And even if they're willingly going along with the teacher in some sexual game?
Yes.
Is Brittany Collop a sexual predator?
In my opinion, she is.
In no way, shape, or form was I ever preying on anybody. I never coerced anybody to do anything. I never bribed anybody to do anything. I didn't offer grades in exchange for anything.
Last month, a jury heard explicit and damning testimony.
She said that she craved that I had something that she wanted.
All 5 of the teens end up testifying, beginning with Aaron.
The very first thing was when she actually brought out some toys.
What happened with the clothes?
They came off.
Everybody's clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
Then the defense's argument.
You look excited to be there. Would that be fair to say?
Yes, ma'am.
You were happy to be there. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are they victims?
Not in my opinion. They didn't feel like I victimized them. They didn't feel like victims, you know, last year. They don't feel like victims now. And they didn't want anything to happen to me either.
In fact, one student wanted to testify on his teacher's behalf, says defense lawyer Lex Johnston.
You feel like a victim?
No, sir.
Do you know what you were doing back then?
Yes, sir.
Not a single one of them feels that they are victims. They didn't want this to go to court.
Do you think what she did was wrong?
Morally, yeah. These were men who pursued her, took advantage of a mother who's separated from her husband.
Wait a minute, you're saying the guys took advantage of her?
Yes.
We're supposed to feel sorry for Brittany?
I feel sorry for Brittany.
The jury apparently did not. They find Collop's guilty of 16 counts of inappropriate behavior with the student, sentencing the teacher to 5 years in prison.